Chosen one, the silence around you isn't empty, it's observant. Something or someone has been quietly studying your every move. They don't announce themselves. They don't speak your name. But you can feel it, the subtle weight in the air when you move, the quiet shift in energy when you step into a room. You've sensed eyes that don't blink, energy that doesn't belong. This isn't paranoia. It's awareness. You're being watched. Not because you're weak, but because you're valuable. The light inside you has drawn attention. And the moment you awakened, they started paying closer attention too. Every step you take echoes beyond the physical realm. And the ones who study you are trying to understand something they can't replicate, your divine frequency. Before we go deeper, stay with me until the end of this message. Take a breath, slow your mind and listen. This message isn't reaching you by accident, it's finding you at the exact moment you're meant to awaken to what's been hidden. And as you watch, I want you to write your warmest wishes and 777 in the comments. That number isn't random, it's a declaration of divine alignment. When you type it, you're sending energy back to heaven saying, I am untouchable, protected and aligned with divine light. The moment you do, your energy begins to rise, your spirit anchors deeper in truth. And the forces observing you can no longer distort your peace. What was sent to unsettle you becomes powerless in your presence. Wishes align, energy strengthens, and your spirit glows brighter than ever before. You need to understand this, chosen one. Observation isn't always admiration. Some study you because they want to understand how you survived what should have broken you. They can't comprehend how you keep moving when they would have stopped long ago. They're intrigued, confused, maybe even threatened by your endurance. You live at a frequency they can't mimic. You move with grace through chaos, speak light into shadows, and rebuild yourself faster than they can sabotage. You are a living contradiction to their expectations, and so they watch, not out of love, but curiosity. They want to see how far your strength can stretch before it snaps. But what they don't realize is this: you were built from pressure. You don't break, you transform. In every season of your growth, there's always an audience, some divine, some deceptive. The divine watches to protect and guide. The deceptive watches to imitate and interfere. Both have their reasons, but neither can stop destiny. You've been walking through this world marked by purpose, and that mark emits light. Light attracts everything, moths and angels alike. That's why you felt drained lately. Why you sense eyes even in solitude. It's not your imagination, your spirit has become a beacon. When heaven chooses someone, the world pays attention. And those who live in shadows can't resist trying to decode what heaven has sealed. But here's what they can't study: the source. They can watch your actions, mimic your mannerisms, even echo your words, but they'll never touch your essence. Your power doesn't come from performance, it comes from alignment. The divine doesn't reveal your full strategy to those who spectate. It hides it inside your obedience. They may think they know your next move, but heaven always shifts the script the moment they predict it. Every time they think they've understood you, the divine takes you in a new direction. That's why confusion surrounds them. They're studying movement that's guided by faith, not logic. You'll notice them more as you rise. People asking questions that sound innocent but dig too deep. Others suddenly mirroring your style, your words, your spirit. Some pretending to support you while collecting information. Don't let it shake you. The divine never exposes surveillance without also providing strategy. You're being shown who's watching, so you can guard what's sacred. You don't need to hide, you need to discern. Protect your peace the way a flame guards its oxygen. Not everyone who claps for your light wants it to shine. Still, don't move with fear, move with awareness. When heaven anoints you, imitation becomes inevitable. You carry insight, presence, and resilience that others crave but can't copy. They can watch your actions but not your anointing. They can study your steps but not your source. You are guided by divine timing, and that timing cannot be duplicated. Every time they try to anticipate you, the divine moves you to a higher frequency, one they can't detect. You're always one step beyond their comprehension because you move with something invisible, favor. And remember, observation works both ways. As they watch you, heaven watches them. Nothing goes unnoticed. Every false smile, every hidden motive, every quiet envy, it's all seen. The divine doesn't sleep. The same light that protects you also exposes them. And when the time comes, the masks will slip. The ones studying you will realize that while they were watching you, heaven was watching them. You don't need revenge or reaction. Your elevation will do both. You've likely wondered why certain people linger near you even when they have no reason to. Why they show interest in your path only to vanish once they've gathered what they wanted. It's because energy reveals truth faster than words ever can. You're being observed because your presence carries something prophetic, something meant to shift atmospheres. The ones quietly studying you aren't just curious, they're trying to decode divine intelligence, but you can't analyze what was never meant to be understood. You can only experience it, so protect your energy, chosen one. Speak less, observe more. Move with intention, not impulse. Keep your plans between you and heaven until they manifest. There's power in silence. Those who watch you don't need to hear your strategy. They'll see your results. Let your success be your revelation. Let your peace confuse their curiosity. You don't owe explanations to spectators when you're walking with the divine. This isn't a warning, it's confirmation. You've entered a level of spiritual awareness where even the unseen can't ignore your movement. You are being studied because you are significant. You're not being watched out of malice alone. Some are simply drawn to greatness without knowing how to handle it. Keep walking. Keep shining, keep trusting, because no matter who studies your steps, only heaven directs your path. Once you become aware that eyes are on you, the atmosphere shifts, the air feels heavier, not with fear, but with clarity. You begin to sense what's real and what's pretending. The subtle energy that once blended into the background now stands out in sharp contrast. People's words sound different, their smiles carry weight. Their questions are no longer harmless curiosities, they're quiet probes for access. You realize that not everyone who's close is connected, and not everyone who's distant is gone. The divine allows you to see beyond behavior into intention. That's the first gift of awareness, discernment. At first it feels unsettling. You question your instincts, wonder if you're overthinking or if your intuition is betraying you. But the truth is, it's awakening you. The divine doesn't sharpen your discernment to make you paranoid, it does it to make you powerful. You're not meant to walk blindly anymore. You've stepped into a realm where the unseen governs the seen, where silence reveals more than words ever could. Every whisper, every glance, every sudden shift of energy becomes part of a greater pattern. One that heaven has been orchestrating to teach you how to move with precision. This is why your spirit feels uneasy around certain people now. It's not that they've suddenly changed. It's that you've begun to see. You've outgrown their frequency. Some of them were never against you, but they were never truly for you either. They were observers, not allies. They watched you heal, grow, and rebuild, hoping to learn your formula without embracing your pain. They wanted your results, but not your refinement. And when your elevation began, they smiled in public, but sighed in private, wondering how you kept rising while they stayed stuck. That's the real reason for their silence. They're studying, not celebrating. But don't let that harden your heart. Awareness is not bitterness. You're not meant to hate them. You're meant to understand them. Every observer serves a purpose. Some are mirrors that reflect what you've outgrown. Others are reminders to guard what's sacred. Heaven doesn't expose watchers to make you fearful. It exposes them to make you focused. You can't stop people from studying you, but you can stop feeding them access. Not everything sacred needs to be seen. The more you protect your peace, the harder it becomes for energy thieves to attach themselves to it. In this stage, the divine domain begins to fine-tune your movement. You'll feel nudged to stay silent when your ego wants to speak. You'll feel a pull to move differently, to delay plans or to vanish from certain environments without explanation. Follow that pull. It's heaven repositioning you in real time. The ones quietly studying you can't anticipate your next step if you're moving by divine timing. Every instinct that whispers, "not yet, not here," or "not with them," is protection disguised as hesitation. You don't need to understand it, you just need to trust it. Heaven hides its chosen in plain sight. The energy around you is starting to shift because your presence no longer operates on a common frequency. People can feel your silence now, and it speaks louder than their words. You no longer need to explain your absence, your growth explains it for you. Those who are watching to copy you will grow frustrated because imitation doesn't produce illumination. You can't fake light that comes from alignment. The more they study, the less they understand, because what guides you isn't visible. It's divine intelligence, fluid, unpredictable, untouchable. That's why your next season will confuse many. They'll see results, but won't comprehend the process. The divine will also begin to send you confirmation that you're being protected. You'll hear things that were once hidden. You'll feel warnings before harm can reach you. You'll sense red flags, not just through logic, but through vibration. That's heaven tightening your shield. You are being covered so deeply that even when watchers try to approach, they'll find confusion where clarity once existed. Your energy becomes coded, your movements unreadable, your intentions invisible to anyone not aligned with your purpose. You might notice your circle shrinking during this time, and that's divine efficiency. You no longer have the bandwidth for counterfeit connections. The divine will remove people quietly without chaos or conflict. Some will fade away naturally, others will expose themselves. Let them go. Don't chase what heaven has cleared. The fewer eyes on your growth, the stronger your manifestation becomes. Privacy isn't isolation, it's incubation. You're not hiding, you're evolving without interference. And while all this happens, don't forget, not everyone studying you is an enemy. Some are silent admirers who see the light in you and are too humbled to approach. Your journey inspires them even if they never say it. They're watching, hoping to find courage through your example. That's part of your purpose too, to awaken others simply by existing in truth. You are teaching without teaching, leading without speaking, healing without trying. Your light isn't just seen, it's felt. But for those whose intentions are impure, their studying will turn into stumbling. They will trip over the very information they gathered because what they collected without permission becomes heavy in their hands. The divine never allows stolen energy to thrive. Their curiosity becomes confusion. Their imitation becomes exposure. And you keep moving, unbothered, untouched, untraceable, because your steps are ordered by something no eye can follow and no energy can replicate. You don't need to look over your shoulder. The ones studying you are already being observed themselves. Heaven's surveillance outmatches theirs. You are surrounded by divine protection that records every intention, every word spoken behind your back, every plan formed in secret. You don't have to fight battles seen or unseen. Your obedience fights for you. You are not being watched to be harmed. You are being monitored to be elevated. The divine allows it so your rise can be witnessed by those who once doubted it. So stay still in truth, move quietly, glow naturally, and let awareness become your shield. The ones studying you are unknowingly becoming the audience to your divine unfolding. Every step you take under observation is a sermon in motion. You are not being spied on. You are being documented by destiny. Once you reach the point where awareness no longer frightens you, everything begins to make sense. You stop reacting and start reading energy, silence, timing, people. You no longer feel threatened by observation because you finally understand being studied is proof that you're significant. The divine doesn't hide those who are meant to lead, it refines them in full view. What once felt like pressure now feels like positioning. You start realizing that every eye watching you, whether with admiration, envy, or confusion, is witnessing the unfolding of divine strategy. You are not being exposed, you are being elevated under surveillance. In this new clarity, you begin to play the game differently. You don't rush to prove your innocence, your worth, or your purpose. You let your actions speak while you stay silent. You understand now that silence is not weakness, it's wisdom. You've learned that the loudest person in the room is usually the most desperate to be believed, and you no longer need validation to feel real. The ones quietly studying you thrive on reaction, but you've evolved beyond that. You've become still, strategic, and spiritually unreadable. They can observe your moves, but not your motives. They can see your progress, but not your process. There's a divine protection in your mystery. The more you master silence, the less control they have. You stop announcing your plans and start executing them in private. You move through life like water, fluid, adaptive, untouchable. Every time they think they've figured you out, you shift again, guided by heaven's rhythm. They can't trap what moves in alignment. You've become the very thing they're trying to understand, unpredictable light. The divine hides your next chapter in plain sight, but only those with pure hearts will ever recognize it. To the rest, your path will always look like chaos right before it becomes glory. In this stage, your intuition becomes sharper than ever. You can feel tension before it speaks, see deception before it acts. The divine whispers through your instincts, warning you with precision. Sometimes it tells you to pause a conversation mid-sentence, to leave a room unexpectedly, or to turn down an opportunity that looks perfect. These aren't coincidences, they're coincidences. Heaven doesn't speak in panic, it speaks in patterns. Every nudge, every subtle unease, every sudden thought to pull back, it's direction, not doubt. You're learning that protection often comes disguised as discomfort. You'll notice that the people studying you start revealing themselves without you having to do anything. Some will grow distant because your energy no longer feeds them. Others will grow bold, trying to provoke a reaction. Stay unmoved. The divine exposes through time. You don't need confrontation. Patience will do the work for you, and when motives are false, they can't survive long in the presence of authenticity. Your peace will irritate them more than your words ever could. You've become their lesson. That manipulation fails where divine alignment stands. But in the midst of all this, don't let your heart grow cold. Awareness doesn't mean isolation, it means elevation. You can see clearly now without losing compassion. You understand that not every watcher is an enemy. Some are lost souls drawn to your light, unsure of how to create their own. You'll find that forgiveness becomes easier, not because they deserve it, but because peace is too expensive to waste on grudges. You begin to love with boundaries, to care without attachment, to serve without depletion. That's true power, to stay kind without being naive, to stay open without being exposed. As you continue to walk, you'll feel heaven rewarding your restraint. What once drained you now fuels you. You no longer react to opposition, you use it. Every attempt to study or limit you becomes data for your growth. You've learned how to turn observation into revelation. Their curiosity only sharpens your clarity. Their doubt only strengthens your discipline. You no longer fight for peace, you are peace. You no longer chase understanding, you embody understanding. The divine has taught you how to thrive in visibility without losing your invisibility. You'll also begin to notice that your presence starts commanding respect without effort. You walk into spaces and conversations shift. You speak softly and people listen. That's not intimidation, it's influence. Your energy carries authority now. It's not about dominance, it's about alignment. When you move with purpose, even your silence becomes magnetic. The same people who once studied you to compete now study you to comprehend. They don't understand how you remain calm when chaos rises, or how you keep winning battles you never announce. They'll call it luck, timing, or coincidence. But you'll know. It's grace, it's protection, it's divine orchestration. By this point, you realize that you no longer needed to expose anyone. Life does it for you. The divine has a way of revealing everything at the perfect time. Truth doesn't hide forever. It just waits for light to find it. And when it does, you'll be untouched. The same people who once analyzed your every move will start questioning their own, because while they were watching you, they missed their own assignment. The divine uses your growth as both a blessing and a mirror. You weren't meant to fight them, you were meant to show them what alignment looks like. So you stop running, you stop explaining, you stop defending. You move forward knowing that being watched doesn't weaken you, it defines your worth. The more you're studied, the stronger your purpose becomes. You've learned to live under observation without losing authenticity. You've become an open mystery, transparent enough for truth, hidden enough for protection. That's the paradox of the chosen, visible to the world, but guarded by heaven. And as you walk in that awareness, peace follows. You no longer see the watchers as threats, you see them as proof that you carry something worth observing, proof that heaven's mark on your life is visible even to those who don't understand it. Proof that divine light cannot be ignored, only studied. You are the living example of what it means to be seen, tested, and still rise untouched. When you reach the point where your awareness turns into understanding, the game changes completely. You no longer carry the tension of being watched. You carry the calm of being chosen. The same eyes that once studied you now see something they can't explain. They sense the shift, but they can't name it. You've crossed into divine protection so complete that their curiosity can no longer reach you. You walk the same paths, but the air around you feels different. You're still visible, but untouchable. You've entered the season where heaven covers you in plain sight. You've stopped trying to figure out who's watching and started focusing on why heaven allowed it. The truth is, every observer serves a divine purpose. Some were meant to test your humility, others to mirror your strength, and some to confirm that you are no longer who you used to be. Every gaze, every whisper, every hidden motive became part of your spiritual education. You've graduated from reacting to observing, from fighting for peace to simply being peace. The Watchers didn't destroy you, they revealed you. They taught you how to walk unseen in plain view, how to move with divine rhythm while the world guesses your next step. In this new awareness, your confidence feels different. It's not arrogance, it's certainty. You know what you carry now. You've seen how your energy affects rooms, how your silence shifts dynamics, how your absence exposes motives. You no longer take that lightly. You understand that light isn't just beauty, it's power. And power must be handled with reverence. You don't flex your glow, you guard it. You no longer need to prove your worth because you've seen how divine validation outlasts human approval. Every time they doubted you, heaven documented it as evidence for your elevation. And now, the elevation has begun quietly. You feel it, not in money, not in applause, but in clarity. You wake up knowing what to do, what to say, and when to move. Heaven's timing has synced with your intuition. You've become a partner in divine movement, not a pawn in human games. The same intuition that once felt heavy now feels effortless. You trust it without hesitation because it's never been wrong. That's how the divine rewards awareness, with authority. You're no longer trying to control outcomes, you're co-creating them. Meanwhile, the ones who studied you begin to feel the shift too. Their interest turns into silence. Their curiosity becomes distance. They can't read you anymore because your energy no longer speaks the same language. What once fascinated them now intimidates them. They sense something greater guiding you, something they can't analyze or approach. That's the protection you've earned. Heaven doesn't always remove your enemies. Sometimes it blinds them. It hides you behind peace so profound that no malice can locate you. You've become invisible in the light, seen but unreachable. And while this protection surrounds you, new blessings start to unfold. Unexpected messages, divine opportunities, subtle breakthroughs. They all arrive without struggle. Things that once required years now fall into place in moments. That's what happens when you move in divine secrecy. Effort turns into ease. You're no longer striving, you're attracting. You've become a magnet for what's aligned and a repellent for what's false. Even your delays are divine strategy now. They're not rejections, they're recalibrations. Every pause carries purpose, but perhaps the greatest gift of this stage is peace. Not the kind that depends on silence or solitude, but the kind that lives inside you regardless of noise. You're not afraid of eyes anymore. You've learned that no one can take what's meant for you. You don't need to hide from attention because your focus is sacred enough to filter it. You've become still in your purpose. You've realized that being studied isn't the threat, it's the confirmation that you've become worth observing. So you keep moving, you walk slowly, intentionally, powerfully. You stop explaining, stop proving, stop reacting. You smile knowing that what they're trying to figure out can't be learned, it can only be lived. They can study your steps, but not your spirit. They can analyze your pattern, but not your presence. You've evolved beyond imitation because you're guided by revelation. Every watcher, every whisper, every quiet envy, they all become background noise in the soundtrack of your divine story. And one day soon, they'll realize it was never about you trying to be seen. It was about you learning to shine, even when seen. The study was their lesson. The elevation is your reward. You are now walking evidence that divine protection doesn't always hide you, it simply places you beyond reach. You are the light they tried to analyze, the mystery they couldn't solve, the proof they didn't expect. You've stopped fearing observation because you've learned the truth. Heaven doesn't waste an audience. There comes a moment when the watching stops mattering. The whispers fade. The noise dissolves. You realize you've crossed into a space where nothing external can touch what has been awakened within you. You don't feel the need to prove, hide, or defend. You've outgrown explanation. The ones who studied you never understood that their observation only made your light stronger. Every stare, every rumor, every imitation became quiet fuel for your evolution. What was once surveillance has turned into confirmation. You were never meant to blend in. You were meant to stand out, to rise, to remain calm, even under eyes that hope to see you stumble. Now you walk differently. There's a stillness in your stride, a peace that can't be shaken. You no longer measure safety by who approves of you. You measure it by how aligned you feel with the divine. You've seen too much, learned too deeply, and grown too strong to ever return to fear. You've become someone who trusts silence more than noise, intuition more than instruction, and timing more than control. That's spiritual maturity, not reacting to everything that watches you, but knowing you're already protected from what they can't understand. Heaven's covering is absolute now. Every attempt to analyze you fails. Every hidden intention bounces off your peace. The watchers can still look, but they can no longer reach. You've become wrapped in divine invisibility, visible enough to inspire, untouchable enough to remain safe. Your light no longer seeks attention, it commands it naturally. You are living proof that favor doesn't need defense. What's meant for you arrives quietly, gracefully, perfectly timed. And what isn't meant for you dissolves before it can distract you. The old version of you, the one that worried about opinions, explanations, misunderstandings, is gone. You no longer chase closure or crave clarity from others. You've made peace with not being understood. You've learned that divine alignment often looks confusing to those who don't hear the same frequency. You don't need them to get it. You're not here to be studied anymore. You're here to be witnessed. The world watches, yes, but this time it's not surveillance, it's testimony. You've become a story unfolding before their eyes, one written by heaven's hand. And while they watch, you ascend quietly. You move in purpose, create in peace, love without fear. You've realized that your life isn't about being seen, it's about being sent. You're not a performer on their stage. You're a vessel on a mission. The study ends here because the divine has sealed your next chapter. No one can predict it, interfere with it, or manipulate it.